ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Well, welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon. I am so excited you're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network or you're watching us on the YouTube. I'm so happy to talk today to Grace Harry about her new book, The Joy Strategist, which is amazing. The back of the book says, first things first, joy is one of the most basic needs. Before you work for anyone else, every single day of your life, you need to tap into your own joy. I started to read the book and it hit me hard about finding joy and being joy. And it is something that I have not really thought about when I was growing up. I talked to her in this interview a little bit about what it was like when I was 11 and the parts of me that I had let go. And it wasn't until I was 33 and went to acting school and started hosting and started doing interviews and started singing and started doing all of these things that I found who I was again. Because sometimes society and the norms of society weigh us down. I teach fifth grade and I always say it's fun to do current events and politics and stuff with the fifth graders because they are not as jaded and biased by the world as we are as we get older. Well, we need to keep in touch with that childhood joy. As corny as that is, that joy is important. Grace Harry has lived a very public life. If it's working with Mariah Carey and Jay-Z to marrying and being divorced by some of the most famous people in the world, and now speaking about what made her find her joy after all she's been through. It was a real pleasure and honor to speak with her, and she gives some insights and some tips on how to find your joy. Well, right now you need to go and order this copy of this book, The Joy Strategist by Grace Harry, because I'm on page, I'm going to tell you exactly what page I'm on. I'm on page 119. I started reading it yesterday when I got a copy in the mail, and you need to get a copy. I related so much to the story in my own way. Everyone will relate to the story in some way. Direct from some of the biggest musical acts of all time. All of the talk shows are talking about it. She's going to be everywhere, and we've got her on the Roundtable. Grace Harry is here. Hey!
Thank you so much.
Are you kidding? I know you. I know I'm a big music nerd. I know a lot about the artists and the work and the performers that you've helped. And now it's so nice to hear you talking to us about helping yourself and finding joy. I read the book, so here's my questions for you. What is joy?
I love this because I had to learn it myself. The joy is the communication of the heart. You know, it's like there's a lot of concepts. I feel like we are funny as humans. We find the new trend and we're on it. So I feel like the last 5 years is like happiness. But that to me feels like an elusive thing because it's an idea. But joy, you know, almost every spiritual faith talks about joy as being what the heart expresses. So that's to me what it feels like.
It's so beautiful. And right from the beginning of the book, you talk about not having the money or the means to get help. And you talk about 12-step programs. I hear from so many, I'm a big fan of my therapist. I think my therapist has a house to retire in the Jersey Shore with my money. So what do you say to people who combat you with, I don't have the money, I don't have the means, I don't have the time to do this?
I mean, where do we start? The very concept what I say to people is the very concept that you're leading in with how you cannot do it is why it is so essential to do it. And, you know, I think there's also still a stigma in the world, even though it's gotten very trendy, right? Everyone has a therapist. And I think of it as like the 60s. It was very chic to have like I can't even say it, an analyst, right? It was like very chic. But the thing is that the internet is fantastic because we have so much at our fingertips, but I feel like it becomes very overwhelming and very big. And what I really say to everyone is there's no one to blame. No one's done anything wrong. That if the most important job in the world is making people, how come only amateurs can do it the first time? So to me, that means that we're all supposed to be in discovery together, and that as much as people love you, the well-intended adults in our lives, they're also workshopping life. So let's give everyone a break and realize nobody's wrong. But if you're not feeling amazing every day, all day, then you have some work to do. And the work is bespoke. You know, we get very freaked out about heart work because it seems so big, but we know how to do it. We just need to have someone like me instigate and tickle you into the memory.
Well, you know, one of the quotes that I wrote down after reading some of the book is, your old life does not want to go to go to a memory. And the fight to get to get in touch with the joy and the happiness and what your quest or journey or desires really are. I relate to that. I know that we fight against our own well-being.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
when was the moment when you realized something was wrong and you needed to get more in touch with your joy?
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to give credit. I love to give credit. That line, even your old life doesn't want to go into memory, came from a 12-step meeting. And then a good friend of mine who was in the program for a long, long time. And I reference the program a lot because I like, even Burning Man, right? The concept of Burning Man, the original mission and ethos is that radical self-reliance. And I think of that as such a funny thing because we live in such a culture where we're taught from so young to let go of what's important to how we feel and really make other people feel comfortable. So, this you get in the airplane to put your own mask on first kind of concept. And um, yeah, I think when I was younger, when I was a kid, I felt really like a weirdo in a lot of ways. I was mixed before it was trendy. I had activist parents before it was trendy. All of these. I lived in Brooklyn before it was trendy, right? Like all these things. And then all of a sudden, I found myself in the middle of kind of a what's the best way to say it? A popular aspiration of a life. You know what I mean by that? And right? And yet I felt if we're looking at all the movies and we're paying attention to popular culture, the message is right, like when you have those things, you're going to feel amazing. And I did not. And being just a curious contrarian, I started to feel into that. Why don't I feel amazing? And then also being someone who doesn't believe in victim consciousness as a personality. I believe in victim consciousness, but not as what I choose to lead with in my life. So I took it apart and I had a lot of responsibility in that. There's still so many ways that I wasn't being authentic. Um, and I didn't know how to start it. So I started it at just trying to find it from the past.
Well, I think that's so powerful. Everything that you just said, but on the outside, people would see your life. They would see the jobs, the money, the millions of records, the famous people, the relationships, the love. Oh, this is the life. This is the party. This is the clothes. This is the hair. This is the money that I want. But that emptiness that is inside, and how it doesn't tuck you in at night, really, at the end of the day. So, what's the first step that we can take besides me quitting my job right now, Grace, and moving into your house?
Please, Robert, come on. Let's
I'm
do it.
Watch out, move over on the couch.
I'll
What
be
what
like, oh, you're here.
what tangible things can we do to just get a start? Like buying this book.
Yes, I thank you very much. You know what? The buying the book part is literally would be my joy to walk around the world and just try to help everyone kind of workshop this and strategize this because it's a much better play date when everyone's having fun. So imagine a world where we all just kind of took care of ourselves enough to lean into what can I do for you today, Robert, kind of thing. Um, but the thing, what I want everyone to understand, I know it's trendy, whatever's the day. I'm old enough now to have lived through like the soy as being the trend, and then matcha was the trend, and meat was the trend. Now meat's not the trend, and whatever all the trends are. Um, at some point we knew, right? Like at 4, 9, 12, there was a point in our life that before I think we started really trying to be alluring. Like we realized, oh, I know what you want. We knew what we wanted. And so I really help people and anyone can just go backwards. And I say, use the little breadcrumbs of your own life. Do like a scavenger hunt of your own life. Wait, I think what I did was I just sat in meditation because at the time I'm the kind of person who's like, oh, we're doing this. Let me do this all the way. So I was going to meditate, Jesus, what is the Tao Te Ching, like all these messages that come to people in these long silent moments. And what really came to me was, what already, actually. It's not that you don't know these things. It's not that everyone doesn't know these things. Every spiritual faith, I really think, has a root of it. Every moment where we have that, oh, I feel this strongly, we have it. It's a GPS within all of us. And I think it's just reminding ourselves of where we're delicious, where we are delicious.
I love
You
that.
know, it could be different. Some people are visual people. So I say, find an image from like a night or an experience where that when you think back to that night, Either you get a look in your eye like, ooh, I don't want to tell people. That's good too. Or you just kind of, oh yeah, I remember feeling really strong or empowered or sexy, whatever it turns you on. And then carry that picture around, put that image on your screen, have it be on the way to the bathroom, be where you're taking a poop, where you're shitting, you're looking at it. But what my point is that we know these things taking care of somebody else. So a lot of people like me, who is a recovering people pleaser, fear of rejectionite, I literally started doing this. Okay, if my son or my daughter or one of my friends or an artist I work with or anybody that's not me needed me and they were in deep pain, what would I do for them? And then it was, first of all, then I had to give myself the permission, because the audacity to do that to myself. And I started saying, you know what? I'm going to be my own client. So I'm saying all these examples because we're all different people. Different things motivate us. I have some friends who could care less. I go into someone's house, a house party, like if you invite me into dinner, I want to help you in the kitchen. That's my programming. But not right. Not everyone's like that. So to find your motivation, are you some people, some friends of mine, I only get them to get this when I say, okay, a new lover is coming. What version of yourself are you offering? Okay, so then don't go home to your own self, be too tired to take a shower and use the best mug to lay on your whatever, to feel luxurious in your own space. But yet have a lover come over at 11 o'clock at night and you were tired at 8, right? All of a sudden you have all this energy. So do that for yourself.
I have such a hard, it's so funny. My mother, my sainted mother used to say to me, you have to treat yourself the way you would treat somebody else. And I think that if you're a people pleaser, if you're somebody who has longed to be loved, accepted, and in place, and you just want people to notice you and love you and be like you were talking about, it is very hard to stand independently and autonomously yourself,
That's right.
because you feel like you'll lose everyone that you love and care about. And it wasn't until me personally, until I really owned who I was and did the work to free who I really was, that that attraction becomes something so much more than just trying to be what you are. But it's so scary. It's so scary for so many people. Um, yeah,
Can I say something about the scary part
yes,
real quick?
please.
I'm sorry. You can always be like, Grace, you're talking too much. I
Oh,
just get so excited about this. The scary part is I have a theory. I don't know if it's true. I made this up. But what I've noticed is that when we're going to if we're tired one day and we know we have to eat, we're going to find that extra energy to feed ourselves, right? We maybe want to walk out naked, but we were taught that you have to wear clothes outside. But nobody really taught us how to find our personal joy. But because we know that there are things that take work, why is it that we talk about things around our heart that all of a sudden it's frightening? And I believe it's because our first heartbreaks were pre-verbal, right? Think about you're an infant and you're being nursed, and or you're getting a bottle. Your caregiver is taking care of you and you're feeding you. It's exactly what you wanted to happen when you got here. So you're having this moment, hormones are flying, everyone's in love. Let's say the third day, the parent gets a phone call that's disturbing. Now, in your life, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. In your 3 days, they're taking their eyes from you. Then the next day, you go to feed them and they start like playing with your elbow. And you hear them bragging, oh, it's so cute now. Little Gracie, little Robert, they play with my elbow. That's actually your first performative love act. And because we don't have words yet, we take that show on the road. And so anytime anyone touches this over here in the heart, we're like, oh, yeah, no, no, no. Oh, no. Do you think that's true?
I do. I'm a big firm believer that our
Right.
initial interactions. I know for me, when we are, and I've learned that when we come to terms with something, or something comes to us that has caused a trigger or a trauma in our life, we instantly react in the way that we first were brought to us. So the second that we are not in touch with a parent or a caregiver, and the second that we feel slighted or not loved or neglected, we have built a defense mechanism, and we go through our whole life not even knowing we have this, our fists up in the air.
Absolutely. So that's the fear. So if we know that the other things, the workout until you can't sit in the toilet, you're bragging to your friends, oh my God, my legs. We just have to, right? We just have to get past that with the hearts. And then what you learn is that that becomes your boundary. Because if the heart doesn't feel like it's somebody that you can actually be that person with, that you don't have to fear retribution or neglect or abandonment, then what? You're only sorting for your starting five all the time.
I love that the starting five is so brilliant, and I love the law of yes. I think that ooh, we don't allow our. I will, Grace. I met you now. I'm going to root for you. I want you to be a New York Times bestseller. I want you to be on the cover of every newspaper. I want this to be turned into a Netflix series and a this and a that. But if you turn that around for me to talk about myself, oh no, no, no. I can't root for myself like that. I can't talk like that because we're so taught that we're not allowed to feel that for ourselves. What is the law of yes?
First of all, yes, I can relate to that because even this journey has been hard for me. I was famously the behind the scenes. I feel so proud that I have these deep relationships with people because they can trust me. So understanding that this is not about me and this is about joy, and I really believe that outer systemic change only starts with inner systemic change. But it still was very uncomfortable for me um, to lean into that because those voices come up, those other parts, like the cartoon angel and the devil, right? Like, who does she think she is? So the law of yes is that when we realize that the joy strategist in all of us is our heart, we all have a joy strategist. We all have a GPS. If you've ever been in an Uber and you arrive somewhere and they're telling you this is the address and you're saying to them, I live here, but they believe that GPS so strongly, we have that. But we have fears and things and brokenhearted moments that we don't trust. And we start to be like, I know you're saying going left, but I'm going to go right because, you know. Um, so the law of yes is learning to lean into your GPS, your heart and your stomach. When you're not breathing, when it's tight, you're not actually listening to yourself. You're self-sabotaging because you have somebody down there like, hello. But we're like, so if your stomach is loose, if your body is functioning, if you're feeling relaxed, then you'll find your real yeses. But if you're people pleasing, even in little moments or halfway, or my favorite thing, talking inside your head with gaslighting, whatever you want to call it, having a full conversation here because you're so afraid to go out there, I say when that happens, baby talk it. You know, Robert, I know you asked me to come on your show, and I'd really like to, but I'm feeling very scared, and I just don't think it'll be great. Like, let's go back there. Or you can preface it. I'm afraid that what I'm going to say is going to make you judge me. Like, let's go back to that, please. That's
Yeah,
what I say about that.
I'm here for it. I think I'm the king of the disclaimer because when I'm feeling insecure, I just say I'm gonna let you know I'm gonna say this, but I'm really nervous, and then give yourself permission to feel how you feel.
That's right.
I have to share with. I was like, this is the interview that's going to get me to cry. I've done 250 plus hours plus interviews, and I was going to get me because when I was 11 years old or 10 years old, when I see VHS tapes that have been turned to DVDs that have now been put on computers, I was a kid who was singing. I was a kid who was hosting. I was the person when my brother was playing football saying, and Sean Bannon scores on the 14th yard line. And I wanted to host and I watched all the talk shows and I wanted to do this. And I went to Juilliard, and at 18 years old, I dropped out because I thought I was not strong enough. I wasn't brave enough. I wasn't tough enough. I wasn't talented enough. I met a girl. I got married. I lived that life. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to live a normal life until I was 32. I went to therapy, and my therapist said, what used to make you happy? What did you like? And I had no idea. And
Right.
all of that 11-year-old kid that wanted to do this, that wanted to sing, that wanted to have this personality was just stuffed and stuffed and stuffed away to be the norms of what I felt society was going to be like. And it wasn't until 33 and getting back in touch and going to acting school and going to therapy and getting back to singing and getting back to having fun and playing and dreaming a dream that's bigger than I could even imagine that things started to happen for me. How do we, that 11-year-old boy in me is so moving to me now because I
Right.
want to nurture and feel him and be there for him.
Yeah.
What is it about our childhood that we then get as we grow up we lose our sense of who we are?
Yeah. It's the people pleaser. It's that, it's like, that's what tell the story of the child being fed, because really what that is that we're, I believe we're all animals, right? And we have a little checklist. We have to learn how to walk, eat, we have things to do, but we got to get some boot camp basics going. And we're not an animal that walks instantly. So our instincts, and scientifically, we're looking kind of to check some things off. Okay, our core family, who's feeding me, who's taking care of me. Yeah, check. And so we have to keep that alive. Now we come into a situation with people who are doing their own work. They're not relying on you to keep that alive. They're also not stifling your creativity. There's different kind of educational systems in this country. The one in our schools is the Horace Mann system, which is really to memorize educational or like factory equipment. Then for a while was trendy, the Montessori, which came from Italy. And just like all good things when they come to America, it got a little confused. It wasn't just singular education. It was just advancing the child mind. But one of the systems that I really like that's been explored here, so that you have a little bit of data, I guess,